Archangel Michael says they took an oath against you, and one family member helped them. There are moments in life when betrayal does not come from enemies. It comes from those who shared your blood, your bread, and your burdens. Archangel Michael is delivering this prophetic message now because a line has been crossed in the spirit. There has been an oath, not just a casual word, not just a whisper of jealousy, but a spiritual oath uttered in bitterness and made real in the unseen realm. And someone connected to you by lineage, by name, by generational covenant, stood in agreement. This is not hearsay. This is not imagination. This is spiritual warfare disguised as family dysfunction. And it has gone too far. This is your divine warning. Something was said in a moment of rage, not in front of you, but in secret. A conversation was had. A vow was spoken. And in that moment, someone you once trusted nodded silently. They didn't stop the vow. They didn't interrupt the curse. Instead, they added weight to it with their silence. Their quiet agreement activated something in the realm of delay, of confusion, and of misdirection in your life. That is why you felt stuck. That is why you've noticed strange disruptions, missed calls, forgotten meetings, and tension rising in places that once brought you peace. Heaven has heard what they said. Archangel Michael has been sent, with urgency, not only to inform but to intercept. Because this is not merely a moment of betrayal. This is a spiritual contract designed to shut the gates of destiny before you reach the next level. And though they think they've succeeded, what they don't know is that a higher authority has now stepped in. This is not just about protection. It's about reversal. It's about exposure. It's about divine vindication. And it's already begun. You are not powerless. You are not forgotten. And most of all, you are not alone. The very oath they took, the very shadow they summoned, is now being drowned by divine light. The archangel who guards gates, swords truth, and commands legions is speaking now, not to scare you, but to prepare you. What you do next matters. What you declare next opens the atmosphere. And what you believe right now will determine how quickly the blessing overtakes the curse. This is your moment. Listen closely. Archangel Michael says, be alert. Be still. Be spiritually sharp. There is a crack in the atmosphere around your name, and it's not from an enemy you've never seen. It's from someone whose voice you've trusted. This message comes to you in sacred timing. Because even now, while you are listening, someone else is whispering. Even now, a conversation is continuing. Even now, intentions are being disguised in politeness, but beneath the surface, something deeper has been brewing, and it is time to call it out in the spirit. This is not paranoia. This is prophecy. Something has shifted, and that shift did not come from your doing. It came from an oath, an agreement, a spoken pact, sealed in anger, rooted in jealousy, and fueled by someone close enough to you to know your past but blind enough not to see your calling. They sat in a space where your name should have been protected. Instead, they allowed it to be sliced. They allowed your truth to be twisted. And worse, they didn't stop it. They let it stand. You see, betrayal rarely walks in the front door. It enters through side doors, back doors, generational doors. And this betrayal was subtle, smooth, well practiced. It did not scream. It whispered. It did not throw stones. It passed rumors. It didn't strike you directly. It struck the atmosphere around you. That's why you've been feeling the unrest. That's why your spirit has been waking you in the middle of the night. That's why your intuition won't rest. because your soul already knows something unclean was said, and some unclothed with present when it was said. But listen to this now. Heaven has dispatched Archangel Michael not just to warn you, but to war for you. This is not the end. This is the unveiling. And it is happening now. Within the next 24 hours, something will shift. There will be signs, subtle ones, a change in tone, a strange message, a dream, or a moment of clarity. The realm of spirit is aligning to protect you. You are surrounded by light. You are not alone in this battle. You were never alone. You've been chosen to carry something sacred, and what they attacked wasn't you. It was the promise you carry. It was the mantle on your life. It was the influence you're about to walk into. And because they couldn't stop it in the physical, they made an oath in the spirit. But they forgot one thing. Heaven has the final word. And Archangel Michael is not just a messenger. He is the enforcer of divine protection. He does not come to comfort. He comes to conquer. Now is the time to be still. Now is the time to reclaim your name in the heavens. Now is the time to stop questioning your instincts and start declaring your identity. You are not their target. You are heaven's vessel. And what they meant for delay, God is now using for demonstration. The light is responding. The air is shifting. And Archangel Michael's sword is drawn. Type "I am divinely protected" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1717 is now active over your life. There is a conversation happening right now, and you're not in the room. But your name is. Your intentions are being passed around like broken glass in careless hands. And someone you never expected, someone from your own family, is not only present but quietly agreeing with the distortions. Archangel Michael says, "Be still and listen not with your ears, but with your spirit. Because there are vibrations in the air around you. That is emotional static. And it all points to this truth. Someone you trusted has been entertaining lies about you behind closed doors. They didn't just hear those words, they let them land. They didn't defend your truth. They allowed it to be reshaped into something small, something bitter, something false. This is not a surface wound. This is spiritual. The betrayal cuts deeper when it comes from someone whose voice once comforted you, whose number is still saved in your phone, whose presence in your life once symbolized safety, now repurposed as surveillance. Yes, Archangel Michael is revealing this. Someone in your family circle has been feeding information to those who do not want you to rise. It wasn't always this way, but something shifted. Jealousy grew quietly. Comparison turned into resentment. Their loyalty began to wither in silence. They are watching you, not out of love, but suspicion. They pretend it's concern. They ask subtle questions. They linger in your business. But their spirit isn't aligned with yours. The truth is, they feel abandoned by your elevation. They watched you start to glow, and instead of celebrating, they grew cold. They felt invisible in your light, and that feeling gave birth to something darker: collaboration. Yes, someone in your family, someone who bears your last name or shares your blood, is connected to those who have spoken curses over your name. They might not have spoken the curse themselves, but their silence gave it power. Their passive agreement turned whispers into weapons. They smiled at you in public but nodded when others criticized you in private. And that silent nod was an agreement in the realm of spirit. Archangel Michael reveals that this person did not enter the agreement through hatred, but through wounded pride. They felt unseen, unloved, and instead of healing, they chose to harm. They started small. A venting session. A sarcastic comment. A story told with missing pieces. And then, someone who already disliked you took that opening and ran with it. The oath was born there. A spiritual vow was spoken. We won't let them succeed. They don't deserve that platform. We'll humble them. But the most painful part, your own blood didn't stop them. They added fuel. Maybe not with words, but with presence. With silence. With permission. You may have felt the shift already. A strange tension in recent conversations. A withdrawal. Sudden coldness. Odd interactions that left you questioning your sanity. Let this message confirm what you felt. You weren't imagining it. Heaven is confirming it now. That unease in your spirit was your discernment activating. The distance wasn't just coincidence. It was spiritual misalignment revealing itself. This is not about revenge. This is about awareness. Archangel Michael is not telling you this to stir hatred, but to equip your spirit. Because knowing the truth allows you to rise in wisdom. You do not need to confront this person. You do not need to beg for loyalty. You need only to stand in your light and let heaven handle what you cannot. Let them speak. Let them gather. Let them conspire. Because Archangel Michael stands between you and their oath now. Every word spoken against you has been recorded in the spirit realm, and it will be reversed in divine timing. And here's the divine mystery. The very person who stayed silent may one day come forward. Not now. Not yet. But the guilt is growing. The conviction is stirring. When the truth begins to surface, and it will, they will have a decision to make. Continue covering the lie or step into the light with you. Until then, you remain covered. Type "My name is protected" in the comments if you feel this message resonating with your spirit. This isn't just family betrayal. This isn't just gossip. This isn't just a personality clash or emotional fallout. Archangel Michael says, this is a spiritual ambush designed to sabotage your next level, but it's already collapsing under divine fire. What you are walking through isn't personal, though it feels like it. It isn't accidental, though it seems sudden. This moment is spiritual. This conflict is supernatural. And that oath they made, that whispered intention to stall you, slander you, or spiritually block you, is evidence that you are carrying something far greater than they can comprehend. They didn't just oppose you. They opposed the calling on your life. They saw your peace and wanted your silence. They saw your progress and wanted your detour. They saw your light, and without even understanding it fully, their shadows reacted. That's what happens when you're chosen. That's what happens when divine favor is on your name. People don't always recognize the source, but their spirits feel the weight of what you carry, and if they are not aligned with heaven, their reaction will be warfare, even if it's passive, even if it's familial. Archangel Michael wants you to hear this clearly. You are not under attack because you are weak. You are under attack because you are marks. The opposition is confirmation. The slander is verification. The betrayal is a mirror showing you how far you've come. They didn't plot against who you are. They plotted against who you're becoming. And heaven allowed the exposure not to break you, but to teach you how to walk with sharper discernment and deeper strength. The oath they took, it was made in reaction to your rising. They were triggered by your transformation. You didn't do anything to them except evolve. But that evolution made them uncomfortable. Why? Because it disrupted the roles they had you trapped in. They were used to you shrinking, explaining, apologizing, dimming. But suddenly, you started standing. Suddenly, you started healing. Suddenly, you stopped justifying and started glowing. And when that happened, their assignment shifted from friend to foe, from support to saboteur. Yet, this is all working for your good. Archangel Michael says, this isn't about vengeance. It's about refinement. You are being polished in the fire of misunderstanding. You are being purified through the discomfort of misalignment. The people who tried to curse you are now becoming the evidence that heaven's hand is upon you. Do not beg for clarity. Do not chase apologies. You are walking through a divine filtering where heaven is revealing what cannot follow you into your next chapter. The oath they made cannot prosper. The agreement they took cannot override the anointing on your life. Your words may have stirred spiritual tension, but your obedience is stirring divine retaliation. Angels have been dispatched. The oath has been heard, and heaven is responding with force. This conflict, this betrayal, is the classroom of the called. The anointing does not make you immune to warfare, it attracts it. But it also protects you from its consequences. You're not losing your mind. You're stepping into mastery. You're not being punished. You're being positioned. Because here's the divine irony. They conspired to delay you, but their attack only accelerated your discernment. They tried to weaken you, but the wound became a weapon. What was meant to destroy your confidence is now fueling your clarity. What they whispered behind closed doors is now building a throne beneath your feet. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not abandoned. You are advancing. You are not cursed. You are called. Archangel Michael stands beside you with sword drawn. He is not just watching. He is warring. Heaven has acknowledged the betrayal, but heaven has also decreed, no weapon formed will prosper. No oath spoken will stick. No silence from family will stop what has already been sealed. You are under divine authority now, and no human collaboration can overturn what God has authored. Type "it's not personal, it's spiritual" in the comments if you're ready to rise above what was meant to keep you down. You're about to notice something strange. Something subtle yet spiritually charged. Archangel Michael says, don't ignore it. Because what you're sensing, that sudden tension, that unspoken weight in the air, that's not just energy, that's a signal, a disturbance, a disruption, a warning that they are preparing to strike again. The ones who conspired in secret, the one in your own family who sat silently in that circle, they know their time is running out, and now they are changing tactics. The atmosphere around you is shifting. They can feel that you've been warned. They sense something divine hovering near you. Their plan is unraveling, and panic has begun to settle into their bones. So now they are scrambling, not to apologize, not to tell the truth, but to reset the trap, to re-enter your space. This time, not with fire, but with flattery. Not with rage, but with rehearsed remorse. And that's what makes it dangerous. They'll reach out under the disguise of checking in. They'll casually slide into your inbox. They'll leave a voicemail, carefully scripted to sound harmless. But Archangel Michael is sounding the alarm now. None of it is innocent. None of it is random. Every word will be calculated. Every sentence designed to stir confusion. They will mention the betrayal. They won't speak of the oath. They won't name the conversations they entertained or the shade they helped spread. No, they'll act like nothing happened. Like it was all in your head. Like you're overthinking. That's the manipulation. You'll hear things like, "I just felt led to call you," or "I've been thinking about you lately." But beneath, Those words is a spiritual agenda to rebind what heaven has already severed. They'll try to reopen emotional gates that were divinely closed. They'll attempt to draw you back into old dynamics, old guilt patterns, old soul ties wrapped in family roles. And that's when you must remember this truth. Your discernment is not your enemy. It is your edge. Archangel Michael says the next 7 to 2 hours are crucial. The enemy is rushing to get back in before you fully step into awareness, before you finalize your boundaries, before your spirit fully locks into position. So you must stay spiritually sharp. Don't be lulled by politeness. Don't be fooled by familiar voices, because familiarity is how the serpent slithered into Eden. It didn't shout. It whispered, and it used what was known to initiate what became cursed. That is what's happening now. The same lips that allowed your name to be twisted are now preparing to speak sweetness. But this is not healing. It's bait. This is not restoration. It's re-entry. And if you're not spiritually aligned, you'll mistake the performance for peace. You may feel an urge to respond, to clarify, to hear them out. You give the benefit of the doubt. But pause. Breathe. Listen. Your spirit will recognize the hollowness behind their voice, the tightness in your chest. That's not anxiety. That's divine resistance. The Holy Spirit is pressing against what looks good on the surface but is poisonous underneath. Let it be your sign. Archangel Michael stands guard now. He's drawing a line in the unseen realm. A spiritual boundary is being formed, a force field around your emotions, your energy, your elevation. No message will pierce it. No lie will confuse it. No family member's guilt will override it. What they planned in shadows is now exposed to light. And light always wins. You don't need to argue. You don't need to defend. You don't even need to explain why you're quiet. Heaven understands. Your silence is your strategy now. Your peace is your response. Let them misread it. Let them spin their stories. Let them grow nervous in your stillness. Because silence backed by divine strategy is louder than any scream. Let them panic. Let them press. Let them try. But you, stay rooted. Stay still. Stay aligned. Because heaven has taken up your case, and the verdict is already sealed. Type "I will not respond" to traps in the comments if you are choosing divine stillness over emotional sabotage. Now that you know what's been said, now that the silence has been broken by truth, now that the oath has been exposed and your spirit has been stirred, the most powerful thing you can do right now is also the hardest. Stay still. Archangel Michael says, the temptation will rise to confront, to explain, to prove your innocence, to rescue your reputation from the lies that others have been so eager to believe. But resist it. Do not move. Do not chase. Do not bend to emotional pressure. What's happening now is not about being understood. It's about being positioned. This moment is sacred. This tension you feel, this spiritual labor, it's the sound of heaven shifting the ground beneath you. And the noise of betrayal is nothing more than a distraction to break your focus, to get you to respond in the flesh when this battle has always been in the spirit. They are watching you now. Every silence, every delay in your response, every missed call, every pause in communication, is making them uncomfortable. Because they expected the old you, the emotional you, the reactive you, the version of yourself that was always available, always giving the benefit of the doubt, always explaining yourself to people who never wanted to understand you in the first place. But that version of you has gone silent, and in that silence, heaven is speaking louder than you ever could. This is your instruction now. Do not explain yourself. Do not try to be the bigger person. Do not re-enter the room God just escorted you out of. That family member who aligned with your enemies may act confused. They may pretend they don't know what you're talking about. They may even attempt to paint you as cold, distant, or unforgiving. Let them. Let them wrestle with the image they built of you. You are no longer responsible for correcting the illusion they chose to believe. Archangel Michael says this battle is already being handled. The oath they took was heard in the spirit, but it was also overruled in heaven's court. Your name is not up for debate. It is sealed, protected, consecrated. Let them try to rewrite your story. Heaven is still the author. You must anchor yourself now. Anchor your thoughts. Anchor your emotions. Anchor your voice. Because stillness is not weakness. It is strategy. Every second you withhold reaction is a second your enemies lose access. Every moment you choose peace over pettiness, clarity over chaos, purpose over panic, you grow stronger, and their influence weakens. Let your stillness speak louder than your words. Let your peace confuse the enemy. Let your posture remain fixed, because God is not just watching, He is moving. Behind the scenes, the same spiritual forces that protected Daniel in the lion's den, the same angels that encamped around Elisha, the same divine strategy that parted the Red Sea, is surrounding you now. You do not have to lift a finger to defend yourself. Heaven has already drawn its sword. So stay grounded. Pray quietly. Worship deeply. Refuse to be baited. Let them text. Let them spin. Let them wonder. You are not required to respond. And every time you choose silence, you shift power back into the hands of the divine. This is not the time for emotional reaction. This is the time for prophetic discipline, the type of spiritual restraint that invites supernatural results. You will not win this battle by fighting on their terms. You will win by rising above them. Let them talk. Let them plot. Let them wait. I expect a breakdown. But what's coming? A breakthrough. And it won't come from proving them wrong. It will come from you walking so deeply in peace, so deeply in power, that they no longer recognize the version of you they tried to contain. If this word is confirming what your spirit already sensed, if you've been walking through betrayal, silence, or spiritual warfare, and these messages have been a lifeline, a covering, a sword, then I invite you to support this channel. Whether it's through a super thanks, a super chat, a super sticker, or becoming a channel member, your act of faith helps us keep delivering what heaven is releasing in this hour. Sow into what's speaking live over your destiny. Because when you support a word, you anchor its power in your atmosphere. Type "my silence is my strategy" in the comments if you're letting heaven speak on your behalf. Let's speak clearly now, because the atmosphere is shifting in your favor. You're not just surviving this. You're not just recovering from what they said, what they twisted, or how they tried to block you. You are rising. They thought they had the final word. They thought the oath they made behind closed doors would define your destiny. They thought they'd mapped out the limits of your elevation. But what they didn't realize was that their betrayal was the very tool God would use to sharpen your sword. This betrayal, especially the kind that came with bloodlines and shared history, was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal you, to awaken a version of yourself that had been dormant. That version of you that no longer explains your growth. That version of you that no longer waits for permission to expand. That version of you that no longer doubts the divine assignment pulsing in your spirit. The version of you that knows who you are and refuses to bow to what they've said. Archangel Michael says, they tried to contain you within their last memory of you. But you've already outgrown their narrative. You're no longer the one who needed approval to move. You're no longer the one who second-guessed their power. You're no longer the one who dimmed your light to keep the peace. That peace was false. And now, you walk in truth-fueled confidence. Your silence has shaken them more than your words ever could. Your obedience to divine instruction has confused every demonic plot they whispered in secret. They can't find the entry point anymore. The buttons they once pushed are no longer available. The guilt they once used as a leash now breaks in their hands. Because you are no longer bound by emotional entanglement. You are spiritually elevated. And the more they try to reach you from the level of manipulation, the more heaven separates you from their access. Something has changed inside of you, and you can feel it. You're more calm now, more clear, more grounded, more untouchable. And it's not pride, it's power, holy power, sacred strength, the kind of peace that only comes after pain has pushed you into alignment. The kind of inner stillness that follows a storm you thought would break you, but instead, it built you. They don't know what to do with you now. The version of you that could be gaslit no longer exists. The version of you that apologized for shining is gone. The one who stayed small for the sake of family unity has left the building, and what stands now is someone who understands divine inheritance. You are light in human form. And every shadow they summon through those oaths, those whispered agreements, those private accusations, they are now being burned away by the intensity of your glow. Archangel Michael says this is your turn. The tables are reversing. The whispers they released are becoming their own undoing. The lies they agreed to are unraveling under the weight of divine truth. And the very family member who helped them, who stood silent, when they should have stood for you, they are starting to feel the consequences of what they endorsed. But you are rising, quietly, steadily, powerfully, not by force, not by manipulation, but by alignment, by divine flow, by holy momentum that cannot be stopped, delayed, or denied. Let this moment seal something deep in your spirit. They can't touch what God has sealed. They may have seen your past, but they were blind to your prophecy. They may have witnessed your struggle, but they never anticipated your strength. And now, it's too late, because the shift has already begun. You are no longer who they thought you were. And no matter how loudly they talk, heaven is speaking louder and declaring your name among the favored, the protected, and the rising. Type I have outgrown their narrative in the comments if you're stepping fully into your next level. Something sacred is settling into place now. You can feel it, like the pressure has shifted, like the silence has started speaking, like the fog is lifting and revealing what was always yours. Archangel Michael says, you are stepping into a space they tried to block, but they cannot follow you here. The betrayal, the oath, the hidden family agreement, all of it was a test. And you have passed. This isn't just emotional healing. This is spiritual ascension. What was once a wound is now a womb. And something divine is being birthed from the pain they caused. Their attack wasn't the end. It was the gateway to your transformation. You see, they thought the silence would crush you. They thought the confusion would break your faith. They thought if they whispered long enough, your truth would wither. But instead, your spirit deepened. Your discernment sharpened. Your identity in God became immovable. You stopped needing validation from the very ones who only celebrated you when they could contain you. Heaven says this is the moment of divine reversal. The same family member who stood in silence, who watched you suffer, who aligned with the enemy by not defending you, is now feeling the shift. Something is stirring in your spirit. Guilt is blooming like a storm behind their eyes. Conviction is taking root in the places where jealousy used to live. And soon, very soon, they will face the consequences of their agreement. One of two things will happen. Either they will come forward, confess what they knew, reveal the truth, and seek genuine reconciliation, or they will remain quiet, and the silence they once used as a weapon will become the sound of their isolation. Either way, heaven is moving. Archangel Michael declares this: nothing they said in secret will override what God is doing in public. In fact, someone connected to the situation is about to expose it all, and they won't be able to stop it. The truth is about to rise like a flood. It won't be forced. It will be prompted. It will emerge naturally, divinely, suddenly. And when it does, the weight of what you carried in silence will finally be seen. But here's the prophecy: you will not have to lift a finger. The one who tried to block your voice will witness your name elevated. The one who took an oath to delay your destiny will watch heaven expedite your breakthrough. And the one in your own family, the one who aligned with a lie, will realize they were never fighting you, they were fighting what was holy within you. And they lost, because the seal of God cannot be revoked. The hand of the divine cannot be overturned. You are being vindicated, not by man's applause, but by heaven's decree. Doors that were delayed are opening now. Conversations that were clouded are clearing. Your name is being whispered again, but this time in places of favor, influence, and elevation. This was the final test, and you passed, not by force but by faith, not by reacting but by rising, not by controlling the outcome, but by trusting the unseen realm to do what only heaven can do. You didn't just survive the attack. You were refined by it. You didn't just endure the betrayal. You were awakened through it. Now watch as the story flips. Watch as the lie collapses. Watch as the family's silence begins to echo with discomfort. Because the truth has been summoned, and no oath, no whisper, no manipulation can stop the light from breaking through. Type "my breakthrough is unstoppable" in the comments if you receive this divine confirmation. Now comes the turning point, the moment of your agreement. Because Archangel Michael has delivered the warning, revealed the betrayal, outlined the strategy, and announced your rising. But none of it is random. None of it moves without your response. Prophetic words create openings, but faith unlocks fulfillment. You've heard what they did. You've discerned who stayed silent. You've witnessed how the atmosphere shifted behind your back, and yet you're still standing. Stronger, yabber, steadier. But now heaven leans forward, waiting. Because your next move matters. Not in the natural, in the spiritual. This is the moment where you shift from receiver to responder. What you say now is not just a comment. It's a covenant, a signal, a spiritual yes to the message sent to preserve and position you. Heaven operates through agreement, and the enemy fears your declaration more than your silence. That's why he tried to silence you. That's why they gossip. That's why the oath was made. Because they knew if you ever agreed with heaven's truth out loud, the chains would shatter. The curses would backfire, and your atmosphere would break open. And now, it's happening. But it must come from you. This isn't about proving anything to the ones who doubted you. This isn't about responding to the ones who spoke behind your back. This is about standing boldly in alignment with the divine. You've seen the fire. You felt the isolation. You've walked through betrayal without lashing out. You've obeyed in silence when everything inside you wanted to scream. That obedience has built power around you. It has made you sensitive to heaven's instruction. And now you must respond. You must claim the promise. You must speak the reversal. You must declare the shift. Not later. Not next week. Now. Heaven hath been waiting for this moment, when you step beyond passive hope into active authority. When you stop watching from the edge of breakthrough and walk boldly into it, claiming every inch of your spiritual inheritance. This is more than affirmation. This is activation. This is alignment. Every time you open your mouth and declare what heaven is doing, you come into legal agreement in the spirit realm. Every lie spoken against you, it loses power. Every delay formed against your future, it begins to dissolve. Every emotional chain tied to family dysfunction, it begins to loosen. And most importantly, the generational agreement made behind your back begins to unravel, because your voice now speaks louder than their vow. So say it, type it, declare it, and announce it over yourself, over your home, over your name. This is your moment to break every oath spoken in shadow by standing in full light. No more wondering if they meant it. No more questioning who was involved. No more rewinding conversations, overanalyzing silences, or seeking closure from people committed to confusion. You are the closure. You are the reversal. You are the interruption to the oath. The divine doesn't need a committee to restore your name. It just needs your faith. And faith speaks. Faith declares. Faith types with fire. Heaven has already grown near. The angels are watching. The sword of Michael has been drawn. And now, it's your move. Do not scroll past this moment. Don't delay this decree. Don't minimize the urgency in your spirit right now. The shaking you feel. It's breakthrough trying to enter. But your agreement must be heard. If this word blessed you, consider sowing back with a super thanks of $5, $10, $20, or even $50. Your seed strengthens this prophetic space and multiplies the reach. Type I break every oath spoken against me in the comments right now. Let it be known in the heavens and echoed in the earth that you, a chosen one, a sealed vessel, a child of divine light, do not consent to their curse. You consent to your calling. Speak it. Seal it. Stand in it. Because heaven is listening. Let this final word settle deep into your spirit. You were never their target. You were heaven's weapon wrapped in human skin. And they could sense it before you even knew it yourself. That's why they whispered. That's why they twisted your truth. That's why they gathered. And that's why someone you loved stood silently as they made their pact. But hear this now, and hear it with your soul. Their oath was powerless against the oil on your life. Their plan was paper-thin in the fire of your purpose. Their agreement in darkness was no match for the covenant made over you in light. The betrayal did not break you. It revealed your boundaries. The silence did not wound you. It forced your discernment to roar. The attempt to contain you did not confine you. It gave birth to the version of you they never wanted to meet, but heaven always intended to release. You have walked through fire and didn't burn. You stood alone in the storm and never drowned. You heard what they said. You felt the sting of betrayal. You tasted the bitterness of being misunderstood by those you would have defended with your life. But now, you stand clearer, freer, bolder. Not just healed, but whole. Because your identity was never tied to their loyalty. Your worth was never based on their words. Your mission was never dependent on their memory of you. You are light in human form. You are thunder wrapped in peace. You are the miracle they never saw coming. And they only exposed themselves by what they said, and by what they refused to say when your name was under fire. But even that was divine. Archangel Michael says, the exposure was never meant to hurt you. It was meant to prepare you. You needed to know who was for you. You needed to see through the smile. You needed to hear the silence and know it wasn't just forgetfulness. It was agreement. And you needed that clarity so heaven could elevate you without interruption. Now you rise without guilt. Now you walk without needing to explain. Now you enter your next chapter without dragging dead weight. They may never apologize. They may never confess. They may still pretend. But that no longer matters, because heaven knows the truth. And you no longer need external validation when you've been sealed by internal revelation. You are not the version they painted in their circle. You are not the story they spun to feel better about their jealousy. You are not the lie they passed from mouth to mouth like poisoned fruit. You are the revelation, the unshaken, the unmovable, the undeniable, the one who carries the assignment they could never counterfeit, no matter how many times they tried to copy your voice, mimic your light, or steal your rhythm. They cannot touch what God has covered. They cannot curse what God has crowned. They cannot stop what God has started in you. And now, they are going to watch it all unfold. From a distance. From a place of silence. From the seat they chose when they decided not to stand with you when it mattered most. Let them whisper. Let them rewind old versions of you in their heads. Let them choke on the story they created to explain why you had to be stopped. Because now you rise. Not with bitterness. Not with revenge. But with holy fire in your bones and peace in your chest. Because you know who you are. Because heaven knows your name. Because the sword of Archangel Michael hath been drawn, not just to defend, but to declare that your time has come. You are not the victim of their vow. You are the verdict. You are the evidence that light always exposes darkness and overcomes it. So walk forward. Stand tall. Breathe deep. The oath has been broken. The betrayal has been answered. The silence has been recorded. And your elevation, it begins now. Type I am not a victim. I am the revelation if this closing word is yours. Your atmosphere is clear. Your name is protected. And your journey fully covered by divine hands. Let them whisper. You rise.